Have you heard about this magical thing called the bandhas? If you've been practicing yoga, especially Ashtanga yoga, for a little while, I'm sure you've heard about this bandha thing. If you haven't, you might probably like, what is she talking about? The bandhas, translated into English from Sanskrit, means locks. And these are both physical places in the body, but also energetic experiences that are really important to both the health of the body and also the subtle inner work of the practice. There are 3 bandhas in the Ashtanga yoga practice. The first is called Mula Bandha, and this is referred to as a root lock. And when we talk about Mula Bandha, what we're really discussing is physically the activation of all of the network of muscles that comprise the pelvic floor, including an awareness of the interior space of the pelvis. And when we begin to gain conscious control over the pelvic floor, there are many health benefits that can actually begin to start to occur. The first is that the pelvis itself will be more in your field of awareness, so there'll be a sense of embodiment and aliveness in the pelvis. And when this happens, the health of the organs that are contained within the pelvis increases. So when the pelvic floor is too loose, then the organs that sit inside the pelvis, it's almost like they don't have as firm of a foundation, and there are certain dysfunctions that can happen if the pelvic floor is unstable or too loose. And gravity pulls on the pelvic floor over your whole lifetime. So when we practice yoga, we engage Mula Bandha. We're thinking about bringing health and vitality into the pelvic floor and supporting the organs of the abdominal cavity with the strength of the pelvic floor. Additionally, the pelvic floor is tied into the network of core muscles. So when we activate the pelvic floor and we draw inwards and upwards, we provide support to the lower back, support to the sacrum, and encourage all of the muscles of the spinal axis to lift and lengthen. So sometimes a weak pelvic floor can lead to postural problems and back pain and other issues that may arise that can be remedied just by activating the pelvic floor. Another thing that can sometimes happen when we aren't connected with our pelvic floor is that we often don't understand the basic principles of movement. The center of gravity is inside the pelvis, so when we activate the pelvic floor and move around with the pelvis, we're more acquainted with our center of gravity. Now, the pelvic floor is also the terminal point of the vagus nerve. So when we activate the pelvic floor, we send a signal to the brain to elicit the relaxation response. The relaxation response is kind of the antidote from a neurobiological standpoint to all of the stress responses that are normally triggered by just everyday life. When we walk around and we're in a state understood from a physiological standpoint as fight, flight, or freeze, when we want to fight with our reality, defend ourselves, or attack others, when we want to run, deny, escape what's happening, or when we freeze and become immobilized, overwhelmed by the trauma of our experience, then we're not really able to take intelligent action, and we're in a state of emotional instability. Now, activating the pelvic floor is not the only solution. However, working with the principles of bottom-up regulation, which means that by changing the state of your physical body, we can impact the state of the mind and the emotions. Activating the pelvic floor as part of a program of deep breathing and embodiment-based movement can really make a difference in your mental health and also help you respond to challenging situations with a little bit more groundedness. There are so many more benefits that can happen with Mula Bandha. This is really just the tip of the iceberg. Most of the energetic benefits, I should say, the spiritual benefits, are almost intangible or ineffable. They're hard to put your finger on and hard to bring into kind of material awareness. But if you keep practicing, I promise you'll find the magic in your pelvis one day too. Now, if we take a look at the other bandhas, there's Uddiyana Bandha and Jalandhara Bandha. Jalandhara Bandha occurs at the upper portion of the chest, at the base of the throat, at the sternoclavicular joint, which is where I'm pointing right now. And then Uddiyana Bandha is around the navel. And when we're thinking about these 2 bandhas, Uddiyana Bandha is when we draw the navel in and back, using the muscles of the lower abdomen to create both space and support along the front body. Be careful not to draw too much upward or it may compress the diaphragm. Some similar physiological benefits of Uddiyana Bandha are having the support of the front muscles, which will help alleviate back pain, especially if you sit in a rounded back position for a period of time, increased health in all of the organs of the abdomen as Uddiyana Bandha begins to be more well established. And there are, again, more quiet, energetic, spiritual benefits from this practice as well that I'll let you explore as you begin to apply these bandhas in your asana practice. Jalandhara Bandha, the closing of the throat lock, is primarily done in a pranayama practice, which is a breathing practice. And we're thinking of Jalandhara Bandha as not only touching the chin to the sternoclavicular joint, but a suction that happens when you're neither breathing in nor breathing out, but holding or retaining the breath, known as a kumbhaka. When we have a kumbhaka pranayama, this means that we're going to draw the breath in and hold the breath, retain the breath, or we're going to do a complete exhalation and again hold the breath. Jalandhara Bandha is traditionally used when we have a long, deep breath in, and we're trying to retain that breath in. So the sternum lifts up, and then the chin descends down to make contact with the sternoclavicular joint, and then the muscles of the throat contract to create a suction that acts as a lid that simultaneously puts pressure on all the prana that's inside the body and prevents it from escaping. And this is how the pranayama practice can begin to work some very deep energetic flows along the spinal axis. In the yoga practice, where we refer to the spinal axis as the Sushumna Nadi, and when our energy is kind of pulsating in the Sushumna Nadi, then we're experiencing some deep, powerful, and even transcendental states. And if that's interesting for you, the best place to experience that is outside of the theory, in the firm foundation of your personal practice. My teacher used to say 99% practice, 1% theory. We can sometimes get really interested in the theory, especially the esoteric theory. If you're interested in that, remember that the practice is the foundation. And if you get too lost in the theory and lose your practice, all the theory in the world is irrelevant unless you can experience it and embody it within your practice. So if you're thinking about the bandhas, these deep energetic locks, remember to go and search for them within the tool of your personal practice.